Hello and welcome back to another video presentation from trainingride.com. Uh, we are continuing learning QTP. This is the fourth video in that series of learning QTP. And in the previous videos, I have shown you as how to record a script using QTP. And after recording, we did ran that, and then we looked into the possibilities of the script not working if something gets changed into the object properties. So I showed you the object repository, and in the object repository we looked into how these names which were given to the objects by QTP, how we went in there and then we used more like user-friendly names. So we did change to user-friendly names, and what we are going to do now is we're going to talk about the possibility of getting something back from the application. Meaning, when I run my script, I notice that it's going to bring up eBay, and then you are entering your whatever details you need to enter, and then it is going to be clicking on that button. And once you click on that button, here, what we have here is the results which are coming back from the application. Now, what I want to do is I want to capture these results. Now, depending on what my query is or what I'm searching for, it is going to return different results here. And just for the heck of it, I need to capture those results. Not for the heck of it, but I would like to do certain things with that results. I would like to report back to my team that when I did a query, when I searched eBay for a certain product, it did come back, and then with this many results. What if my data is wrong? Rather than saying men's Nike shoes, I say something differently here. I say man's Mikey shoes or something like that, and this might not give me the expected results. See, it's giving me 79. I mean, I guess it's trying hard. It looks for the word shoes, and it interprets man's as men's, and then still going to give me something. But this is not the exact number we are expecting. So how do we know that my tests are running good and it is getting me the right results or not? So I need to capture the results. Okay, if I need to capture the results, then what we got to do is we got to know, first of all, where the results are being displayed. Like when I enter some information, I enter the information into a web edit, right? Now, when the information is popping back to us from the application, where are they showing? This is not a web edit, so where is it showing? What is this area, or what is this the location, or what is it actually? Is it an image, or is it a web edit? Is it a button? What is it, right? So we would like to find out what is this, right? This object, and then how do we capture something which is coming inside this object? All right. Okay. So for that, we have to first of all add whatever this is into my object repository. So I'm gonna put it back to what it was. So let's say it was men's Nike shoes, right? Okay, and then when I run that, it is coming back with 96,368, I guess. Okay, I need to capture this number. For that matter, if my script runs here with a different text, so let me close this browser and then come back here and then do women's, right? And if I run this, let's see how many we get back from the application. So it is going to put women's Nike shoes in that web element. There it is. It is going to, and then when it does that, it is coming out as 35,791. So I need to capture this information. I need to capture that. Okay, for me to capture that, first of all, number one, I have to identify what is this, right? So the way I'm going to identify this is by adding this this object, whatever object that is, I don't know. So I'm going to add that to my object repository. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to open up my object repository, and I am going to add that object to it. So the way I can add an object to an object repository is when you see that plus and add objects to local. I got to click on that. Once I click on that, it is going to show me my browser, right? And if we get into this situation, right, this is now there is a reason we got into this situation where it is not showing me my eBay browser, right? And if I start clicking at some point, if I start clicking now, wrong objects will get added to my object repository. So what we should do is, this recording is a very sensitive business. So when we are recording something, we cannot afford to have these browsers, all the other browsers open, right? So before I started that, I should have closed my my browsers. All right. So since I did not do that, I'm gonna see that now this is what it is trying to record. I am gonna cancel out of here because that's not what because what it did is when I clicked on that to bring up my browser, it recorded that as some Win object. That's not the intention. That's not what we want. So since recording is a serious business, what I got to do is if at all, if there were any other browsers which were open, I got to make sure that I close those browsers. So this browser was open, so I closed that. And I'm just gonna take a look if any of the browsers is open. None of the browsers are open. This is my my eBay browser here. We are fine now. So we need to capture this information. So the way I'm going to be capturing this information again is I'm going to give it a shot here. So if let's say if this was closed, I would have gone into object repository, and look at the plus sign, which is add objects to local. So I'm going to click on that, and so I had another window open here. So I'm gonna just shut that. Notice that it is trying to add that window sketchpad to. So now you can see how sensitive it is, right? So I gotta make sure that I have everything closed before I do that. Anyway, one more try. Just make sure that my browser is up. My browser is up. It is here. Now I'm going to make an attempt here. Okay, object repository, right? And I need to add this, and I need to, I did not close this, right? So let me just close that. So that was closed. My object, okay, it is here. Add, right? Holy moly. So I think I need to just close that because it was not closed. Here it is. I'm going to try closing from here. Now it is closed. Well, this is getting a little bit cumbersome, is it not? Okay, so again, coming back in here, this is my browser. One more attempt to add it. So this is my object repository. I need to add, and here we go. So I click on that, and it says that, okay, this is what it is. This is what I'm going to add. And it says it's a web element, right? The object is a web element, which is it is going to add. And it thinks that it is 35791. That's the name, the best name or the logical name it could come up for that thing. So I'm just going to say okay to it, right? This is going to add it into a page which is women's Nike shoes eBay, so it is going to add that. So that's fine. So it got added in here. So that's the name which it wants to give to that. So 35791. That's the best it could come up with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rename that, right? I'm going to rename that to something better. And what is that something better? This is the results which I'm getting from the application, right? So I can say that this is the results captured back from app, right? Whoa, long name. Doesn't matter. I mean, since I already did it before, So that's what I at that time I gave it a name like app results. So I just want to be different now. So I'm saying results captured back from app, right? Okay, fine. So this is the name which we have given to that object. Okay, now that we have the object, what we want to do is we want to see what in that object, what is the value which we are getting out of that object. All right, that's what we want to capture. Okay, so for that, I have to talk to you a little bit about objects and their properties. So bear with me. Here we are. Let me just open my sketchpad and then draw something in here and then try and explain you so that you can understand what is an object and what is a property. Okay, now let's say there are a bunch of people inside a room, right? This guy, right, and this guy, right, and this guy, and this guy. Okay, now these are all of them are basically all of them are objects, right? And what objects? Let's say human objects, right? Okay. Now, if I'm here, I need to call these, one of these guys, and so how can I call them so that they can pay attention to me, and I want to call one individual. If I say human, all four of them, they are going to respond, right? So if I say, I mean, human is basically all of these objects are human, but each object is better known by their properties, right? So properties like, if I need to call this guy, he might be Jim, and this is John, and this is John, and this is Tim, right? And here I am, right? And I need to call Jim. When I say Jim, he's going to respond. When I say Tim, he's going to respond. When I say John, both of them are going to respond. So what is Jim, John, and Tim? These are nothing but these are properties, right? These are properties. An object is identified by its property. What property is the word or Jim? Jim is nothing but the name property. How else? Likewise, John is the name property. This John is also a name property, and Tim is the name property. Some of the properties are unique, meaning that, I mean, in this room at least there are no two Tims. In this room there are no two Jim. So when it comes to this room, Jim as a name is unique and Tim as a name is unique, but John is not. So if I need to have one of these Johns respond to me, I need to know another property of that. What could be another property? Can I say John who has two eyes? So guess what? Both of them, they are going to respond, right? So there should be some property which is kind of like unique property, right? So how about if I say height? Hey John, who is 6 feet, and hey John, who is I don't want to offend this John. So 5 feet, right? Okay, so he is 6 foot. So he's like a taller John or a longer John, right? And he is the shorter John. I mean, it's not politically correct to call somebody as a shorter guy. I mean, but anyways, I mean, but this is like height is like another attribute or another property. Likewise, these are like for humans. Likewise, you have properties for objects, right? So if I want to have a property for an object, let's say, if I have an object, and this is what we were talking about. Let's say that there is a web element object, right? There is this web element, there is this web element, and there is this web element, right? These are the objects. So this web element and this must have some unique properties. Let's say name, right? Or let's say some other properties, right? So so we need to find out. I just told you the name, right? What are the other properties? What are the other properties of an object, right? And the objects, what are the objects which we know so far? We know that browser is an object, page is an object, web edit is an object, web button is an object, and just now I said web element is an object, right? So these are all the objects. We know that objects have what? Properties. And to give you the idea of one of the properties, name is a property, right? When you have a property will have some value. So if it is the name as a property, it could be Jim, right? If it is height as a property, it is 6 foot, right? So likewise, I want to know what are the properties of objects and what are the values. So how can I find out? How can I find out? First of all, how can I find out? What are the different properties of an object and what are their values? Okay, let's see how to do that. Okay, in order to do that, we have to this is getting interesting here. So we have to look into an object. So here is my object. What object it is? It's a browser object, right? What are the properties, object properties? What are the properties about this object which I know, right? So these are some of the properties, right? And then their values. I don't see many here, right? I don't see many here, correct? Right? Let's go and take a look into this page object, right? Page object, and in there I have something called what object is this? The one which I click? It's a web button. What are the properties of that? There is something called a type property. There's something called a name property. There is something called an HTML tag property. And what are the values of that? If it is name, it is search, right? If it is type, it is submit, right? So these are some of the this is an object is web edit, and these are the properties. Likewise, let's see the object which we captured. What kind of object is that? So we just added this object, right, to our object repository by clicking this plus sign. So let's see what is this object. When I click on that, it says that it's a web element object, right? And what are some of the properties of this? There is something called an inner text property. There is something called an HTML tag property. Now let's say if I want to find out the value of the inner text property. So at this time, when it got recorded, the value of that was 35,791, right? When it got recorded. Now sometimes, not sometimes, but depending on what we search, this object value, this object is a web element, right? This object is a web element, and this object, we put this object into the object repository by clicking that, and then we gave it a name which is results captured, and this is a web element object. And this object, some of the properties of that is inner text is one of the properties of that, and the value when we put it inside the object repository, at that time the value of that was 35,791. Now when I'm running a different string here, when I'm searching for men's Nike shoes or any string, it doesn't matter, it might give a different value. Different value of what? Different value for the web element object, and the property is inner text, and the value could be different. So now let's go and capture that in our script. Let's see how to do that. Okay, for that, what I'm going to do is I am going to close this, and I am going to write. I'm going to write. I am going to write some code in my QTP. And let's see what that code is. That code is, I want to capture this value, right? I want to capture this value. What is this object? This is the web element object. I want to capture one of the properties. I want to get one of the properties. What is the property? Inner text property. I want to get, right? So let's see how I do that. For that, first of all, this object, any object, is inside a browser. So I will type browser and then parentheses, and it will show me all the browsers I have here, right? So I'm gonna go and take, and I'm gonna go and take this browser, and I will do a dot, and inside a browser I have a page. I do a page, and I will do a parenthesis, and it gives me all the pages, and I am on page 2, right? This is not the page 1, this is page 2. I'm on page 2, so I'm going to be selecting that page 2, right? And in here, this is the web element object, right? So I'm going to say web element. It is selected for me. I do a tab, and that will be selected for me. And in here, I have this and that. Which one I want? I want this, right? So I select that. And after I do that, after I select, let me just make some space so that you can see. After that, now I want this object. I want what? I want this object. I want the property. Which property we want? We want the property. We want to read the runtime, because this is the runtime, right? So I want to get the runtime object property. So this is what I have to select. I have to select the get RO property. Get RO is get runtime object property. And which one I want? I want the inner text. I want the inner text. So I'm gonna choose that. Okay, this is what I want. And so it is going to read this inner text, which is this number. It is going to read, or any number depending on my query, right? It could be MANS, mans, Mikey shoes, MIKE, Mikey shoes, and it will give you 17. So I want to capture that. Whatever comes out here, I want to capture that. And this number is different based on what I enter here, right? So whatever comes out here, I want to capture. So the way I'm going to capture that is, I'll say, go to that browser, go to that page, go to that web element. So this web element, and then get the RO property, get the read, or rather get the runtime object property. And which property? The inner text. And once it gets that, what do you want to do with that? I want to, let's say, print that, right? So I say print this, right? Or I could store it someplace. Right now I just want to print it. All right. Okay. So this is what I want to do, and so let me run it. And this time I'm gonna totally take something different. This is rather than going for women's Nike shoes, I will go for, let's say, NASCAR tickets. I don't even know if what it is going to return, if at all, if it is going to return anything or not. But let's see. So I close my browser, right? And I will try. This is from the previous one. I will try to run this and see what comes up. So here I am running for a totally different string, right? Okay, it did enter that, and probably it is going to click on that, and there you go. It found like 1458, and I need to print that, read that, and print that. Now let's see if it is doing. It is still running because it did not stop. As long as you see that yellow thing in there, that means that, okay, it is still doing something. So I'm gonna wait till it finishes that, and then it should pop up a number. If everything worked all right, it should open up a window, print window. There you go. And here is my 1458. Here is my 1458. Here is my 1458. So what we have done is we ran a script. We executed that script onto the browser, and we got some results from there, and we captured those results back into our QTP application. From here, I might down the road in my future videos, I'm going to show you as how to take this and write it either into a Excel spreadsheet or write it into a database, right? But this video so far shows you as how you could be reading anything back into the application which is coming out from your application. So can I go and change this query? I close this browser. Can I change the query to something? This could be Chicago Bulls. Let's say tickets, right? Any query, right? Okay, let's see if it runs. Here it is. I'm gonna run that. Are there any tickets out there available for this Chicago? Okay, it is. Watch here. It is there. It ran. Okay, it came back with 1,332. Right now, let's see what happens. Is it going to be captured and then shown? Let's see. If it is going to be captured and shown, then it will be displayed into that little window, which will come up, which is the print window. And if it is doing it, then our test is successful. And what we have learned in this video is how to capture information from an application, or for that matter, from any application. There you go. Here it is. Well, so that's how we do it, folks. What we would be suggesting is, as usual, as I've been telling you in every video, that go and take a look into our website, which is trainingrite.com. Again, there are a lot of free videos for you to look at. You could train yourself from those free videos, or you could enroll into a course and be a part of the course. Here are some free videos on QTP. These are the free videos on the Selenium. These are some of the other free video for manual testers. I'm talking about some databases. What is the need for you to know the architecture of an application? What is the need for you to know the databases, different types of databases and whatnot? So a lot of free videos in here. If you want to learn the real stuff, then these are some of the different courses or the different classes which we are starting at the time of recording this video. We are starting a QTP class on November 2nd of 2011. But on this page, you would be seeing, if you come back to this page at a later date, you would notice that here you would find the schedule for the next upcoming course or the courses. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of this video, and we hope to see you back again on another video presentation. Thank you and take care. Bye.